Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Well, hello there, Keryn Lee. She's here.
Hi, April.
She's here with me, Brains on the Edge, the place where the conversation is what? Pointed. The guests are sharp and the responses are never dull. I have another amazing healer coming to us from Adelaide, South Australia. I told you there's something going on in Australia, Brains. This is a two-time author. She has been a coach for about 15 years, but 10 years in the healing space. She is the co-host of Two Unholy Healers, which is a video and podcast. And I'm going to talk to her about that because it's pretty interesting. It's unconventional, to say the least. And, you know, she found her healing and her calling after really kind of experiencing some trauma herself. As a child. So we're going to talk to her about that and then some. Brains, help me welcome her to the edge today, Keryn Lee.
Thank you, April. Lovely to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. So, baby, you had a very interesting life. Tell us where it all began for you.
It did begin, as you said, with, difficulties in childhood and that sort of thing. I was very, very sensitive. There was quite a bit of trauma and crazy going on in the family. I grew up as a very angry, rebellious teenager, very shy and a lot of self-esteem issues. I turned to drugs and alcohol and that type of thing. So also eating disorders, and this went on into my 20s. And I knew around about 19 that there was a different possibility, that there was, that I could heal my life in some way, but I just didn't know how. And so really the last 39 years have really been about that journey of finding those tools for healing, finding those the teachings, the methods, the learnings, my own wisdom, etc., to heal myself and in turn to heal others. And so it's been a long journey. As you said, the last 15, 16 years I've been teaching and coaching, and then 10 years as a healer working one-on-one with people. So it's been a real joy to sort of overcome many of those challenges myself and then help guide others through that as well.
Well, that's a lot of heavy lifting because, you know, what happens, and this is just from people that I've talked to, which is like every other person on the planet, that, you know, healers take on a lot. They take on a lot, and they sometimes relive their own trauma, helping others. How do you clear yourself? How do you make sure that you are a clean conduit to be able to facilitate and deliver messages, but as as well, take care of yourself, self-care?
Great question. And this is a big thing, as you said, that I see with many healers. I work with a lot of healers in my healing work for those very reasons. And the main thing that I look at is you have to clear your own energy. So if you get a client that comes to you that is has got something going on and you're taking on energy for them, then you have to go away and say, okay, well, where is that resonating with me? Where is that triggering something within me? What within me is not cleared or balanced that's actually causing that reaction? Because if you're really in your own space, if you've healed those deeper issues within yourself, then you're not going to take on energy from other people. So if something does come up, that's an opportunity to clear that energy within yourself. I also want to add to that, and this is something that I've really worked with a lot and really done sort of more research into through my own experiences with clients and people that I meet. And this is to do with womb trauma. And what I'm finding is that our environment in the womb is very much what we create in our daily lives as we get older. So it might be something as simple as, a parent smoking, or perhaps it was an unwanted pregnancy, so the child ends up feeling unwanted, or there could be actual physical trauma, abuse, or something like that. But this environment is our first environment in this reality, and that impacts what we, or the environment we create as adults. So what I've found by going back and clearing a lot of that womb trauma, we can actually really create a deep level of change so that we have healthier boundaries, and we have, we're not so prone to people pleasing and taking on other energies, which, healers can be sometimes known for.
And I like what you said about that womb trauma, because that's on everybody's lips now. They're talking about generational trauma.
Yeah.
And the womb, to me, it's very simplistic, and I know that you've done a lot of research, but I sang to my baby, and my husband talked to my baby, and
Yeah.
I read books to my baby, and, when my baby didn't act right, I disciplined the baby in the womb. So,
Hmm.
again, that is your first portal.
Yes.
And someone told me something very powerful, and I'll never forget it. As my mother was passing, they said, April, what you need to understand is that when you enter into this world, you enter into it in a violent state. You're
Mm.
coming in between urination and defecation. You're being delivered in a puddle of blood and slime. Some
Wow.
people are cut out, some people are forced out, some people come out naturally. But when
Yeah.
you arrive, they've thrown a party for you. They
Yeah.
give you a baby shower. There's a bright light. There's
Mm.
energy. They can't stop kissing you and praising you. So as you transition into your next life, there's going to be trauma too. How you
Yeah.
get there? Some are forced out. Some are cut out. Some out go out naturally. But no, there's going to be another party. There's going to be another bright light. So as a
Exactly.
healer, you see all of this. You
Hmm.
see, sometimes people inflict their own wounds on themselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's outside influences. Now you say that you help heal them. Okay, that's a
Yeah.
heal is a big $25 word.
Yeah.
What are some of the modalities? What are some of the intricate workings that you provide your clients in this
Mhm.
healing process?
So the main modality that I work with is theta healing. So this is a wonderful modality. It's been around for 25 to 30 odd years. What is unique to this modality is that it helps you connect with creator and tap into the subconscious so that you can identify limiting beliefs and clear those limiting beliefs. So I've found the belief work to be a really very, very beneficial, and one of the pieces that I felt was missing from other modalities that I'd done. So I also incorporate some other modalities and also just things I've learned myself along the way. But the theta healing is the basic of that. It's also a modality that I love so much. I teach it to others as well. I started this one about 10 years ago, and this is really when the journey of healing that I'd been on for almost 40 years really, it was a game changer when I added the theta healing, and I was really able to dynamically change many things in my life. And so theta healing is kind of top of my
What is,
list.
okay, break that down. Take it down another level. What is theta healing?
Okay, so it is a modality created by a lady called Vianna Steibel. She lives in the States, in Montana. And really, it began with her praying to God and asking for healing on her aunt, I think it was at the time, and receiving healing, and then thinking, well, why can't I heal myself? And I think at the time she had bone cancer, and she literally did an instant healing on herself. There's kind of a long story around that. I won't go into all the details, but she literally healed this bone cancer instantly. So her leg that was like 2 or 3 inches too short grew to the normal length in literally in front of her eyes. And so this was all confirmed with testing and so on. But basically that's where it started. It began with a prayer, and it became a very simple um, meditation like technique from which you connect with God, creator, universe, whatever wording you like to use. And from there, we literally witness healing take place, because the thing is, once your mind witnesses a healing, it believes that it's done, it believes that it's true. And so if we perceive that as true, then everything's energy. So anything can change.
Okay. Now, I'm glad that you brought that up. Great segue, because I listened to your show, The Two Unholy Healers. A very interesting topic. You talked about curses,
Ah,
okay, and being released from those curses, but being submerged in those curses, but also talking about God. Clarify that for me, because I was a little confused. As you say, we are all energy, we are all matter. I get that. Negative as well as positive. It is about what we perceive, but also our outside influences and what is inflicted upon us.
mhm.
So sometimes I'm thinking I'm looking like brand new money and I'm looking like, 2 cents. So it's all about how we frame it and what we allow in. Clarify what you were talking about with regards to curses and then how that relates to God.
Yeah, so from my perspective, the energy of a curse or something like that is really, it's just another energy, and it's, an energy that someone is directing towards you, but you can't actually take on that curse. You can't receive that energy unless you have a matching energy, let's say. So, for example, and I'm going to go in talk about past lives a little bit here. I know some people don't believe with them in them, but what I would say is, to me, everything is energy. I use the terminology of past lives to express that. If people don't believe in that, it's like, think of it as just energy. This is the wording I'm using to tap into that energy. So if we look at someone perhaps has killed someone else in a past life, which we used to do a lot back in the day in other lifetimes, and when things weren't, well, people still do it these days, don't they? So say we kill someone in a past life, you come back into that lifetime with that person for some reason. There's just this funky energy with that person. You don't know why, but they just kind of make you feel a bit weird. That person may feel the same thing. And because you killed them, they decide that, I hate that person. They're going to put a curse, or they're going to, some sort of negative psychic attack or whatever directed at that person. But if you didn't have some level of guilt within you because of that past life, that curse would not stick. So the idea is, if, as I said before, everything's energy. So if one of these things comes up, that you recognize that you have a curse, that you recognize that, there is an imbalance, it's about recognizing you can clear that energy, that it is just energy. Does that answer your question, or do you need more information?
No, it answers it, but you know what? So many times people are unaware of what has
Yeah,
transpired in a previous
absolutely.
life,
Yeah.
and people will try to put hexes or curses or on you. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a devout Christian. Okay, I know where my source is, but there is
Yeah.
power in the underworld.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Satan was God's most perfect angel. So people can't tell me that there's no power in there. And if you are unaware of it, if you are vulnerable, if you are weak, again, you fall into that, whether you are conscious or unconscious, because there's a fear. So,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I clearly get what you're saying, but it's a fine line. It's delicate. I do believe that it's real on both sides. I do believe that people can associate or attach themselves to something negative if they believe in it. You
Hmm.
know, so
Yeah.
that works, because you'll get gypsies,
Yeah.
and I'm just, I say this with the utmost respect to all healers, but there are a lot of people out there with trickery, and there's a lot of people that will, plant negative seeds, or have the gift of hypnotherapy and try to put in some NLP, or they'll try to control you, or they'll manipulate you, or they'll even try to run game on you and get money. Now, that
Mm-hmm.
was something else that you guys talked about on your show too, about the belief around money and healers not just healing for the sake of healing, but there's also a revenue that's attached to that for their work. It's
Yeah.
like, at the Christian church. My pastor told me to my face, he goes, saving souls is big business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
explain that for me. What was that dialogue about?
Well, we see it in the healing industry, but we see it in any industry these days, April. Like, there's always people that are functioning from that place of integrity, and there's always going to be people that are not. So I would say to people that are looking for a healer or something, or really anything, you have to be in that space of trust and really feel into the person that you want to work with. Like, does this person, is there a lightness to their energy? Do they make me feel good? You also have to look at what space are you going to the healer from? Like, if you're in victim mode, you may be more likely to attract a healer who feeds that energy. I had a client once come to me who a healer told her that she was cursed, forever or whatever, and that she could never clear that, which obviously upset her. When she came to me, we cleared that energy. So we were talking about this later, and I said, you wouldn't have gone to that healer if you didn't resonate with that at some level. But what it did was it inspired you to choose something greater. So sometimes we do pick difficult situations as a way to go, hang on a minute, that's not what I want. I want to choose something greater in my life. So, we definitely have free will, and we definitely have the ability to change something if we don't like it. You're never a victim. You're never, there's never a space of no hope. Like, we might think there is, but as I said, everything's energy. And I think if you recognize that, we can recognize that everything can be changed. And as you said before, we're talking about God and so on. If you have a belief in that, then that gives you that space to not waver, to know that there is something there that has your back. Whether you call it God, the universe, the creator, whatever, there is that divine energy that has your back, that will support you with whatever it is that you're doing. And I think when people have that trust and that faith, that anything is possible, that opens the door, that shows you the light, doesn't it?
It does, but so many people find that in contrast. You
Mm.
know, they definitely find it in contrast. If you are walking by faith and not by sight, then you need to travel on that journey. But then when
Yeah,
you're dibbling dabbling with other things, you are not giving your 100% faith
yeah,
to what you
yeah,
believe. You know,
yeah,
so I believe that there is space in the world and in the universe for all, because my God, my Creator, is one of abundance and has created everything, from
yeah,
the ants to the fleas to the sun and the moon and the stars.
yeah.
But people will say, oh, okay, well, if I'm believing in my faith, why should I go to a healer? Why can't I just go directly to the source?
Mm. Well, they can, but they often don't believe that they can. I mean, with Theta Healing, what we do is we go to the source, we go to Creator to heal. So that modality actually teaches you that you can do it yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
But sometimes I think people need to go to a healer to actually find that's possible,
Mm, okay.
or not necessarily a healer, someone that has that information.
I wouldn't just say somebody now. They'll go ask the postman down the street, excuse me, can you deliver this letter to God? Tell him this is what's going on. So they really have to be, I gotta feel you. I need to know what I'm pouring into you. I need to see it exuding out of you. I need to
Yeah,
watch you. I need to have a relationship with you. I can't just go through the Rolodex or find you on a website and say, oh, this is a person I'm going to trust. Because
yeah,
I'm opening myself up to you. I'm opening up my womb. I'm letting you work on me. And I'm looking
absolutely.
at you. It's like a coach. I tell
Yeah,
people all the time, you don't just go and randomly pick a coach. What that coach has to offer me, I want it to be exuding out of their pores. I want to know that this is going to be a great experience. I want to know that they want me to win. I want to know that it's okay when I outgrow them.
yeah,
It's just like your spiritual teacher. It's like, whatever religious doctrine you turn to, you need to read it and have clarity for yourself and have that one on one connection. There's angels all around us, everywhere we go,
absolutely,
you
absolutely.
know, and some you can identify, some you can't. But there's also some people that's got some trickery. So again,
Yeah,
brains, use your brain.
yeah,
Use your heart centeredness. Get to
yeah,
know the person. Get to observe what they've done. References,
yeah.
all these type of things, because everybody's not going to be your ideal client, right, Keryn?
That's exactly right. And I have to trust that the people that come to me are the right people for what I have to offer, because there are different types of healers out there and we all attract different types of clients. And I have to say that I'm truly blessed by the people that I do have for clients, because um, some of the issues that people come with, and even the first time that they've never met me before, they come into this healing space and they will share their wounds, like you said, their deepest, darkest secrets. And it always completely amazes me. And I feel so honored that they would feel open enough and trusting enough to share that in that healing space. So, the trust goes both ways, trusting that you're choosing the right healer for what you want to do, but also trusting, from my perspective, trusting that I always attract the right clients for me as well.
That word trust is a big, heavy word because sometimes that can hold people captive because trust is based upon a condition. It's not free will. I trust you if dot 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 dot. If you
Yeah.
don't do dot 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 dot, I don't trust you. My trust is broken because of dot 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 dot. So that
Yeah.
word trust is pretty heavy as well. So
Well, I think it comes to trust with Creator, like trusting Creator that all of those aspects are in divine order, rather than actually putting that trust in my client, but like trusting the universe, trusting the Creator that all of those parts and pieces come together so that I'm in alignment with the people that I work with. I think maybe that would be a better way to say it.
yeah, no, I get it. I'm just, I just kind of tell people because I'm a wordsmith.
Yeah.
I'm a poet. I get off on words and I listen to them and I listen to how people use them, etc.
Yeah.
So now, what if you don't have a client that has trauma? What if you got, you know, Sally Smartass that is at the top of her game? I mean, she's just on it. She knows who she is. She's in that right place. But she has overachiever syndrome
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
wants to be perfect. But perfection can also be misconstrued as insecurity.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
how do you work with that, or how do you give suggestions to that kind of person? Because there are people out there that, I've done the work and I've, had all the coaches and I've had all the healers and I do Reiki and NLP and hypnotherapy and EFT, EIGIO. How do you work with that person?
Look, sometimes they're the trickiest to work with because they feel like they've done everything. But
Mm,
what's usually or often happening is they've dissociated from some of those deeper emotions and feelings, and the way that they've learned to cope in life is to overachieve and be the perfectionist and so on. But what I do in a healing session is I tune in and I do a scan, like an intuitive scan. So that shows me where are the blocks and imbalances. That helps me connect with Creator and see what is it that we need to work with for this person. Where are those blocks and imbalances, so that we can go straight to those deeper issues rather than just talking a lot and trying to find out or trying to figure out mentally what's going on. It's like, no, let's actually look at the energy. Let's ask Creator, what is it that we need to work with? So that's kind of like my little my secret sauce is to actually go in and look at the energy, to connect with Creator and find out what those deeper beliefs are.
okay, that is wonderful. Now, let me ask you, what is the premise of the two unholy healers? Tell me a little bit about the podcast and, what is the premise about it? What is your goal and what do you look to achieve?
Look, this was something that just started as a fun venture with my friend Colleen O'Brien in the States. We actually met a few years ago at a ThetaHealing training in Queensland in South Australia. And we got chatting. We kind of remained friends. We often do healing sessions on each other, and we kept regular contact with each other. And then a few months ago, not a few months ago, we were always having these great conversations about healing and different aspects of healing. And one day, I think it was Colleen mentioned, we should do a podcast. We should be talking about this so that other people can listen. So we did. We put it together, and it really is, it's just a fun chat. We liked the name The Unholy Healers because it kind of sounded a little bit irreverent. But the idea was to kind of break down some of the old paradigms, to kind of get rid of some of that mysticism around healing, some of the myths around healing. Let's just have a straight up chat about what healing is actually really like for us as healers in this industry. So, we like to connect with other healers. We like to get people that are interested in healing coming along and listening and asking questions about this industry, and just having a bit of fun.
You're also an author, a two-time author.
I am, and my latest book, Secret Healer's Business, I'm very, very excited about sharing
Where's
this
it
with
at? Let
others.
me see it. I'm looking for it. I don't see it on your desk. Where's it at?
If I don't actually have a copy yet, it's that new, but I do have a printout off my computer.
Oh,
So
look
there's
at that.
there's a
Secret Healer Business.
and this is a sneak preview. It's just being printed right now, so you're getting a sneak preview of the cover.
I'm, so is that about the size of the book?
No, it will actually be bigger. This is just how it came off my printer.
Oh, okay. But I mean, it's wonderful. I see that they're doing, it looks like some Reiki.
It looks like some Reiki, which is kind of funny because I don't specifically do Reiki, but when you think of someone doing healing, we often think of hands-on. So I thought I just went with that photo. So
That's beautiful.
um,
So what's inside the pages of that book? What do we have to look forward to?
so much.
I lost your audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay.
Uh, I um, I started this book about 3 years ago because I was getting so many questions from people about what's it like being a healer? What modality should I learn? What do I need to know? How do I get clients? And the big one, how can I actually earn money as a professional healer? Because a lot of people in this industry, they're doing another job to support themselves, or they feel they can't get enough clients. So I just packed everything that I could into this book, from all of the struggles and that I had, all the fears and doubts, fear of not being good enough, fear of not being intuitive enough, fear of not being able to get clients. Like I had all of that. And my journey as a healer has really been working at a lot of psychic expos over the past 10 years. I really kind of grew my business from these expos, and also as a tarot reader for most of those years as well. So it helped me connect with people. It helped me build my mailing list, all of those sort of things. So I share a lot about that and my healing studio, the journey of sort of putting that together in the book. However, it's not specifically a book about my journey. It is an information book. It's giving information about how to, but I share snippets of my journey along the way, and some bits and pieces from clients and that as well. So there's a few interesting stories in there.
And you know what? If that is your gift, there's absolutely nothing wrong with generating revenue. You have to. You cannot pour from an
Yeah,
empty coffer, you know?
absolutely.
And so
Yeah,
people have to get this, uh, they have to unleash themselves from the emotional attachment of money. Money is nothing but a vehicle exchange. It is
yeah,
energy, and it needs to be moved. And if it doesn't move, it becomes stagnant. And if you live like this, you cannot give nor can you receive with the clenched
exactly.
fist. So, you
Exactly.
know what? Don't. Now, again, you have to use your own discretion, and you have to figure out what is worth to you. You have to figure out what this individual is providing you, and you have to see if it's results, you know? But if
Yeah,
all of that equals a win, then I see great things in your future.
absolutely. Absolutely.
What was the first book about?
The first book was called The New Consciousness Book of Ascension. So I
Hmm.
wrote that in about 2011. And it was really just a book about simplicity when it comes to enlightenment and your journey of ascension. So what I'd found leading up to that was people always tried to make it so complicated. You have to do all these rituals and activate this and take this and buy that, and the book was really just about simplifying it, connecting with yourself, um, and just some very simple little tools to create more ease in your life, more trust in yourself, and to move forward in your spiritual journey.
Can you give us 2 or 3 great takeaways that we can do to calm and center ourselves and become more aware? You may not be able to heal overnight. There's been some trauma. I've got some upcoming guests that, woohoo, they've got some stories to tell. But, the person that is just lost, that's just out there, wandering around aimlessly, what would you say to that individual?
What I would say is to bring it back to energy, because sometimes we get very caught up in the story that this happened to me, that happened to me. But if we remember that everything's energy and bring it back to that, it's like if everything's energy, energy can be changed. And sometimes when I've got stuck with things in my life and I've reminded myself of that, it's like, that's right, it's just energy. I can actually change this. It's just a matter of finding the right tool, and sometimes that tool is as simple as asking a question. And one of the questions that I like to use is, what would it take for this to change? Because when you ask that question, you're actually sending that out into the universe. You're saying, hey, universe, what would it take for this to change? So the universe automatically responds. That's how it works. Now, you might not see it immediately, although you might. You're not specifically looking for an answer, but you're allowing the universe of God created to contribute to you. So what would it take for this to change? The other thing is to recognize that as infinite beings, we came here to experience all the flavors and colors of life. And sometimes we choose really sucky things, and sometimes we choose really amazing things. And if you're in a space where you're choosing something really not very pleasant at the moment, remember that, first of all, maybe ask the question, what is it that you're getting out of this? How is it serving you in some way? Because we don't do anything that we're not benefiting from in some way. Now, it may be an old pattern, a learned response from when we were children as a way to keep us safe, just in the same way as, someone who learns to bully others, that was a defense mechanism because sometimes they were bullied or they didn't feel safe or whatever. That's not a positive pattern as you get older, but it was a way that person learned to survive. So that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Like, we have a negative pattern, but it's serving us in some way. So it's about asking the question, how is this serving me? And can I get that in another way? Can I change this pattern in a way that will still allow me to get that need met, whatever it is? So everything's energy. Asking a question to create the change, and look at what you actually get out of it. And is there another way you could get that need met?
That's powerful. That's powerful. And that's great. That is great information. Brains, again, it's not always in the answer, baby. It's asking the right questions
Mm-hmm.
and presenting those questions to the universe. Because, again, God knows already from the womb to the tomb what your destiny is. But it's up to us to color in the white spaces. And sometimes we need to borrow crayons from Keryn
I love that.
because you don't know what you don't know. And, fear is a captor. Trust, can be a captor. You have to, give it with caution and with care. And I think that I feel very comfortable with Keryn Lee and what she's saying. She's very clear. She's very focused. She knows what she's doing. She's been on this journey and she continues on this journey with us. She holds our hand here on the edge. Brains, please go like, love, share, all of that good stuff, and connect with Keryn. Click on the unholy healers. I like that. I'm gonna have to be watching that a little bit more because you guys be talking about some good stuff. So tell my brains how to get in contact with you and also how to be on the list for your pre-sales for the launch of your book.
Absolutely. If you go to my website, kerynlee.com.au, so that's KERYNLEE, you can sign up for my newsletter through that website and you'll get all the information about my book. And you can also get information from Facebook, facebook.com/KerynLee08. So there's 2 ways you connect with me there and get information about the book.
Well, you are doing some great stuff, and thank you so much for being here on the edge. Again, Brains, I need you to subscribe, like, love, share all the time. You know, we got to keep those algorithms strong. We got to keep this information strong. It is energy and it has to remain fluid so that all of us can heal, we can grow, and we turn into better human beings here on the edge and on the planet. Thank you, Keryn Lee. I appreciate you, my sister. And come back and visit me anytime, okay?
Thank you so much, April. I really appreciate it. It's been lovely to talk with you and your viewers.
Bye, Brains.
Bye.